I have seen what they can do. They do not yield. May the gods help us all.
The chamber rang with laughter. 12 towering species laughing at the one scarred alien who smelled of ash. Commander Vorax stood alone at the center of the Galactic Council's obsidian floor, and not one of them bothered to hide the contempt. They pointed, they snorted. They adjusted ceremonial robes over chests that had never tasted war. If humanity is the threat, the Cyrenian speaker droned from his throne, then perhaps the threat has been drinking our water. More laughter. Vorax did not flinch. He simply opened his palm, and a jagged obsidian metal clattered against the floor between them all. The Star of Calthar. Every species in the chamber recognized it and went quiet. If stories like this pull you in the way they pull me, hit subscribe and like the video before we go deeper, because what I'm about to tell you is going to stay with you until the very last second. You gave this to me, Vorax said, his voice low, for killing 17,000 humans in a single system. Silence. You didn't ask how. The Cyrenian speaker leaned forward, his many eyes narrowing. Because the outcome was the only thing that mattered, Commander. Humanity is a minor species. Their quadrant is dirt. Their engines are stolen. They are not a threat. They are furniture. Vorax smiled the way only a dying soldier can. Then let me show you what furniture does when it's cornered. He tapped the floor. The chamber dimmed. A hollow map bloomed above them, and the war appeared. Sector 9. The first system Vorax had ever lost. He had commanded 19 vessels, 12 species, 300,000 warriors. He had been told it would last 3 days. It lasted 6 years. The first thing Vorax remembered was the silence on his bridge when the human fleet appeared on long-range scopes. 11 ships, wooden-hulled, patchwork armor welded onto civilian hulls. No uniforms. They looked like floating scrapyards. His gunner laughed. Should we hail them or apologize? Vorax gave the kill order. An hour later, his lead destroyer drifted in 2 halves, leaking atmosphere into the void. The laughter stopped. The humans had lost that first battle. They lost 9 of their 11 ships. Vorax's fleet didn't even lose a hull plate, so he gave the next order. What he did not know, what none of them knew, was that in the wreckage of one of those dying human ships, a 16-year-old girl had survived. She had been a cook. Her name was Lynn. Her left arm was gone below the elbow. She had a cracked tablet clutched to her chest, and on that tablet was a blueprint for a weapon the Council had never imagined. Lynn did not cry. She started drawing. Back in the Council chamber, Vorax let the holomap linger on Sector 9. 12 species waited, and none of them saw what he saw. They did not retreat, he said quietly. They escalated. The Cyrenian speaker waved a hand. Escalated with what, Commander? Prayer? A junior analyst in the back of the chamber, young, thin, holding a datapad so tight his knuckles were white, stood without permission. Speaker, the commander has the floor. The Council turned. The boy swallowed but did not sit. Vorax looked at him. Something flickered in those old soldiers' eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or memory. My name is Ren, the analyst said. I'm a junior xenohistorian. I have read the recovered human transmissions from Sector 9. I have to agree with the commander. The chamber erupted. The boy stood his ground. 3 of his colleagues sent him private messages to stop. He ignored all of them. Thank you, Ren, Vorax said. Sit. I will need you later. He turned the holomap to a new sector, the third system, where Vorax had learned the word never. The humans had used a weapon no xeno-engineer had catalogued. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't plasma. It was a flock of piloted drones made of kitchen appliances, laundry bots, cargo haulers, garbage trucks, anything that could hold a magnetic core and a small charge. Vorax had watched 41,000 ships swarm his dreadnought. His point defense had annihilated most of them. Then the survivors had rammed his hull in sequence, 60 per second, and the chain reaction had cracked the dreadnought's spine like a stick. When his surviving Marines boarded the wreckage to find prisoners, they found a single human colonel floating in a broken escape pod. The colonel smiled at them through the shattered glass. "Tell your grandchildren," he radioed in perfect Cyrenian, "that we almost won." They shot him anyway. Vorax remembered the colonel's face. He had seen it later, in intercepted human broadcasts, painted on murals in their settlements. They called him the First Shepherd. In the council chamber, the silence had become uncomfortable. "Commander," the Cyrenian speaker said, "your numbers are outdated. We've had 100 years of peace. Humanity is—" "Speaker," Wren said quietly, raising a hand. "We have a new transmission." The chamber dimmed again. A small ship appeared on the edge of the Helvaz system. Not 10,000 light-years away, but nowhere. It was a configuration no navigation matrix could resolve. The ship simply appeared in the dark, like a breath on cold metal. Small, silver, heavily scarred. And on its hull, a single painted crest every species in the chamber recognized. Human. The chamber stirred. Robes rustled. Eye stalks twitched. "How did it get past our perimeter?" one of the species demanded. Vorax turned. His scar caught the light. "They didn't get past your perimeter, Counselor. Your perimeter didn't notice them. That's the part you should be afraid of." He walked toward the holomap. His limp was heavier than before. The war had taken more than his leg. War always does. "The ship is requesting asylum," the comms officer said. The chamber exploded. 3 species stood. 2 threatened to leave the Union entirely. The Cyrenian speaker called for the ship to be intercepted. "The Council will decide in 7 minutes," the speaker announced. Vorax looked at the speaker. He had served under this man's grandfather. He had bled for this empire. He had killed until his hands shook. And now he was watching them decide, calmly, to ignore his only warning. "They will not come in peace," Vorax said. "Then in pieces," the speaker replied, and the room laughed again. Quieter this time, but laughing still. Wren raised his hand. "Speaker, may I—" "You may not." The transmission opened on its own. A human appeared on every screen in the chamber. Gray-haired, scar across her jaw. The kind of tired that lives in the bones. Vorax recognized her instantly. Captain Lin, the cook, the 16-year-old, now the oldest living officer in the human fleet. She looked into the camera, and 23 species held their breath. "My name is Captain Lin Tao. I served as a cook aboard the Pebble, the first human vessel to engage the Galactic Union in Sector 9. I lost 3 brothers. I lost my arm. I rebuilt my arm out of scraps from the bodies of your soldiers, because your soldiers' alloy is the only metal in the galaxy that does not break." Silence. "I am not here for asylum. I am here to deliver a message from the human Concord." She paused. The chamber did not breathe. "We know you ignored your own war hero. We know you laughed at his scars. We know." Vorax felt something cold run through him. They knew. We intercepted your negotiations with the Quasar Dominion 3 weeks ago. We know you are about to authorize a joint strike against human space. We know your timetable. We know your fleet routes. We know the names of your admirals. She leaned closer. You do not know ours. And that is the difference, counselors. That is the only difference that has ever mattered. The Cyrenian speaker raised a hand. Captain Lin, this council— Commander Vorax, Lin interrupted, saved 3,000 of my children on Calthar when he could have glassed the surface. He held the line against his own commanders to give civilians a chance to evacuate. We know this. We remember this. And we came here today because of him. Vorax's eyes burned. He showed mercy in a war that gave him none, and you spat on the medal he earned. So I'm here to tell you one thing and one thing only. She straightened. The scar on her jaw caught the light. Top a single human world, and you will learn what we learned in Sector 9. A pause. You will not survive the lesson. The transmission ended. The chamber was ice. The Cyrenian speaker sat down slowly. His many eyes closed, then opened. He looked older than he had looked 10 seconds ago. Sound the fleet recall, he said. It was the only wise thing he had ever said. But it was already too late. 3 days later, a deep space buoy, 3 light-years out of human space, detected the Quasar Dominion's lead strike group. They were running dark. No emissions, no beacons. The buoy wasn't technology. It was a single human soldier in a small craft, holding a single data burst. She pressed the button the moment the fleet dropped from hyperspace. The Dominion admiral saw the alert. He ordered his gunner to fire on the buoy. The buoy was already gone. The message had already reached every human port on the rim. 23 worlds stopped what they were doing. Children stopped playing. Soldiers stopped training. Workers stopped welding. Within 40 minutes, every human ship in range was moving. Not toward the Dominion, toward Vorax's system, toward him. Because Lin had given one more order after the transmission, an order that had not been broadcast, an order from a cook who had become a captain, who had become something else entirely. Bring him home, she had said to her fleet. However long it takes, however much it costs. The Dominion Admiral's report landed on the Cyrenian speaker's desk 9 days later. It was 3 pages long. The first 2 pages were about tactics. The third was a single line. They did not engage us. They did not retreat. They went past us. Millions of them. Tens of thousands of ships, all heading in the same direction. We fired everything. Nothing turned. They waved. The speaker scratched out his orders. For once, his hands were shaking. What he didn't know, what no one in the chamber knew, was that Lin's fleet wasn't marching to conquer. They weren't marching to threaten. They were marching to honor a single alien soldier who had been mocked by the very species he had bled for. When they reached Vorax's world, the sky was filled with ships. The kind of sky his grandchildren would tell stories about, if he lived long enough to have them. Vorax walked out onto his balcony. The wind was cold. His leg ached. His wife's old shawl was still hanging on the chair where she had left it the morning she died. The first human ship landed softly in the field below his home. Lin stepped out. She was older, gray, thinner. She had one arm. She walked up the hill toward him. He walked down to meet her. They stopped 10 feet apart. 2 old soldiers, 2 old scars, 2 old heartbreaks finally meeting in the middle of what their children would call the long day. You came, Vorax said. His voice cracked. You held the line, Lynn said. You bought us time. You saved my sisters. He swallowed. They laughed at me, Lynn. They laughed. I know. We heard. The whole galaxy heard. She stepped forward. She reached into her jacket. She pulled out something small, jagged, black. The same kind of metal that Vorax had thrown at their feet. For the alien who remembered us when his own people forgot, she said. She pinned it to his chest. Her hand shook. Vorax put his scarred hand over hers. Your granddaughter should have this, he said. I cannot accept. Take it, Lynn whispered. You'll give it to her yourself. He didn't understand. Commander, one of her officers said gently, the Concord voted last night, by unanimous voice. You are the first non-human ever offered honorary citizenship in the human republic. A pause. I don't, Vorax started. You don't have to do anything, Lynn said. You just have to live. We take care of our friends, Commander. We always have. His vision blurred. He had not cried since Calthar. He cried now. The ships in the sky lit up one by one. Running lights, parade lights, the lights they only turned on for the dead and the saved. Tens of thousands of them, glowing soft, filling the dawn. And somewhere in the chamber of the Galactic Council, 300 light-years away, the Cyrenian speaker sat alone. Not one other species had come back. The chamber was empty. His aide came to clear his tea. Sir, the aide said softly, the humans are requesting a direct line. They want to renegotiate the Concord. The speaker cleared his throat. Patch them through, he said. And, he paused, and tell them the council will treat their citizen as our own. The aide nodded and left. The speaker sat alone with his robes and his many eyes, and the silence that follows every empire that learns the wrong lesson too late. Outside the chamber, the stars burned the way they always do, cold, indifferent, waiting to see which species will finally learn that courage is not given by rank. It is given by scars. And that the smallest species in the galaxy will burn the sky down for the one soldier who saw them clearly. Even when his own council couldn't. Even when they laughed. Even when the metals rotted on the floor. The stars waited. The ships glowed. And an old alien veteran held a medal to his chest that weighed less than a coin and heavier than the world's. And finally, let himself be loved.